Hello. One of these days, I pray I'm going to do a video going, hurrah, isn't the world wonderful? Aren't we all joyous and happy to be alive? I pray for those days. A bit like how every day at the minute when I open the curtains, it's constantly grey, and it's like finding a needle in a haystack is having a day where you open the curtains to blue sky and sunshine. It feels the same in terms of seeing any positivity in our country, at least, anyway. Apparently inflation's down, but who knows? Who knows? It's all supply-led inflation anyway, with retailers and big conglomerates just bleeding us dry. It's not a demand-led inflation, and I don't know if I trust any of these figures anyway. Who comes up with this? Who decides? Who do we trust anymore? There's just so much going wrong at the minute. It's hard to know where to start. But my main reason quickly this morning was, again on the radio, talking about we need more housing, we need more housing. And I don't know about you, but where I am, near York, the amount of housing development that's been going on the last 5 years is quite frankly suffocating. Like everywhere you go, the roads are totally rammed. There's nowhere to park. The little town near me, little market town, you can't drive down the high street road anymore. It's like a rally course, and it's insane. You can barely squeeze 2 cars down it. You can never get parked. The GP, they said to me 3 years ago they weren't coping and had too many people, and the development's pretty much doubled the size of housing in the last 5 years. And everywhere I look, every town near me has doubled in size, and it's the schools, it's a nightmare, the GPs, hospitals, I don't need to go on about it. Just everything. And to hear that we need more houses. And there's quite a few around here that are for sale and they're not selling. There's a housing development in our village that's now trying to sell off part of the land that they'd earmarked for development because people aren't buying the houses. And every time I do see a development, they're never like little bungalows or cute stone kind of 2-bed cottages for first timers or newlyweds and one kid kind of family. The people that are at the bottom of the ladder to get started on the housing market, they're always massive and really expensive. And it just depresses me because, we've got a Tory government, but the development on Greenbelt round here in, God's own country, Yorkshire, is insane. That it's always on Greenbelt. We were known as the green and pleasant land, kingdom of green beauty and who loved our nature. And along with net zero, we're just kiboshing all the nature from what I can see. Solar panels on fields, wind turbines, killing wildlife, and then just building on all of these green fields around us. And around here, the infrastructure is just crumbling. Like the water system around here, the sewage system, none of it supports all of this development. There's no jobs. There's 1 bus a day through here anyway. I think it could be 2 buses. There's no jobs. There's 1 post office, and the development is mental. And then near to us, there's now another proposed village stroke town. I think 3,000 houses. So around here, there's 5 villages of around 250 houses. That's now they've all kind of had a 3rd increase in size, but it's all villages and single lane roads that are crumbling, and they're now on about, again, it's all arable land that is earmarked for this village town. Again, single lane roads, no jobs, there's no amenities, there's I think they said in that proposal there might be a primary school, but, no GPs, no high schools, no more hospitals. And, the UK is no longer green and pleasant. It's becoming just grey and concrete. And the UK is losing so much of its biodiversity. I've written down here that a recent study found the UK is one of the world's most nature-depleted countries, with an average of about half of its biodiversity left. And we keep ploughing up fields and laying down concrete, which again also exacerbates flooding, obviously. There's just no thought process in anything that's done in this country anymore. And I found out as well, according to the most recent government figures, actually, I tell a lie, this is from 2020. There was 270,000 homes in England that had been empty for at least 6 months. Many derelict and abandoned. So this is where, in my opinion, we should start before we build on green fields. We should never build on green fields. There's plenty of sites that can be built on. So you could give away or just sell those, once they've passed like a certain time requirement of anybody putting their hand up about owning these properties. They should go to an auction where people can buy it cheap as chips to invest in for first timers. They'll do it up, they'll make a great investment. All these properties are generally in really good locations in centre of towns, on the edges where bus routes are, jobs are, schools are. And then look at potential housing like we have above shops, commercial premises that have closed down, etc., etc. But it's always about the money, isn't it? It's always about the money, and to hell with whatever else, whether it's nature, flooding, you name it. In my opinion, building on green belt should be made illegal. We have to protect what we have left. And again, it's always papering over the cracks. We never go to the source of the problem, which is this teeny tiny little island that could fit into Africa, like, is it 200 times, 300 times? It's just taking the world into its small little landmass. And basically we need a population of what we had in like the 50s, down to like 50 million, because everything is about economies of scale and demand and supply. And it's all added together. We just keep taking more and more people, the size of Birmingham every year. And yet we still have so many job shortages. And we know that the mass majority of all the immigration ends up being people that are still dependent on the state somewhat and need some monetary support. And they tend to be net loss leaders in terms of contributing to the economy. And then on top of that, they also then need all the public services. So it's a complete lie and fabrication that immigration is helping our economy. It literally has been the downfall of this country, whether economically, socially, for crime, you name it. It has obliterated this country. We have more than enough people for jobs. People should work for their benefits, in my opinion, unless you're really unable to do anything. Even then, I think you should be able to do something at home, on the phone, on the laptop. We need to make people work, and we need to have net negative migration for a long time until we get the population down to a manageable level where supply and demand are equal, economies of scale. We have a workforce that is efficient and works effectively for the population size. People go on about, the NHS, this and that. I'll talk about the NHS another time, because I've worked amongst the NHS. I know all about the NHS, and it's dire. But the left always go on about people leaving England to go to like Australia to work in the healthcare system there. And it's not, when I talk to people, it's not about money. It's literally because, Australia again is like 32 times the size of the UK, yet only has about 20 million people, like a fraction of our population. So their working environment is like it used to be here, in the 60s, when people had time with their patients. They weren't, I agree that people in NHS are run off their feet because there's so many people and they don't have a quality of their job. They don't have time to spend with patients. Mistakes are made. This is why they leave to go to Australia, because it's a nice working environment. They've just got the few patients to deal with. It's easy and manageable, and they've got work satisfaction, and they can be effective in their job with each patient. That's why they go. Everything going wrong in our country, whether it's, the woke thing as well, but mostly down to the fact this little island is bursting at the seams. Per capita, like per square meter, we're so crammed full of people, and we can't just keep adding more towns and more towns. We will sink into the sea. The people are getting angry and frustrated because everywhere's busy. The crime's going up. There's no more jobs from what I see. All our public services are breaking. Like, the satisfaction of people, whoever you speak to, is rapidly declining at a rate I've never seen. And I talk to parents and people who are older than me, and they say it's way worse than it was in the 70s. Even in the 70s, you had the blackout or bins weren't collected. As a whole, everything is going so wrong at the minute, and none of it is rocket science. The UK is a wobbly wooden bridge at the minute, and the weight on it is too much. There is only so much weight a bridge can bear before it crashes and falls into the sea.